If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. We're back this morning. That's right. We're doing a little live coverage just in case the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime decides to release something over these next 2 weeks. I happen to have vacation time, so why not? That was my thought. And just a moment ago, Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guests in here with me, and let's get talking here. Nae'blis, welcome, and Thom with Talk Around Riyadh. I love Nae'blis. Cheers to you both. It's awesome to have you here. It wasn't until that tweet by Rafe that I kind of got a little chills here. So yeah, this is, if anybody was wondering what we're doing, again, I happen to just have had time. So why wait? Major Watt News YouTuber Matt cast as Man Fear and departure from books. Nice. I like it.
Guys, this was the major news they're tweeting about.
That's the major news. We don't know what is about to happen. All we know is that Rafe just tweeted, what was his comment, gentlemen here? He tweeted a quote that says, "My love is gone, carried away by ... And do either of you know where that's from?
Yeah, well, I looked up the quote online. It's a quote from The Eye of the World. It's a song. I think the song is "Wind That Shakes the Willow."
Okay.
That's the name of it, right?
What is it? Do you know what chapter it's in? Now I want to look that up.
I am trying to find that out. On Nae'blis, were you able to figure out where exactly that's from? Not to put you on the
Rafe,
spot either. I just
saw in chat. It said Rafe just tweeted now. Oh, Sarah, you know what it means. We texted just moments ago.
He's responding to Sarah.
Watching Rafe and Sarah, subtweet there is that's fun. Yeah, the wind that shakes the willows. Okay, so are we going to get the wind? That's one of the questions here I see in chat. Phone lines are open, by the way. We'll if you guys want to call in, whatever is about to happen here, feel free to call in and give us your opinion here. We'll be talking about, obviously, maybe it'll just be tweeting right. Between Sarah and Rafe. That's what today's announcement will be. Just a tweet conversation.
That and the Man Fear thing.
That and Man Fear, yes. That and Man Fear. Yeah, I am kind of like shaking here a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. The anticipation of the announcement is a lot of fun. We're going to have to do this again because that in itself is fun.
Tom played it in Merrilin.
Thom plays it in Merrilin? Oh,
yes.
Wow. Okay, so so that seems like an obvious. So yeah, now I have lots of questions in my head. Does that mean we're getting Merrilin? Or does that mean, yeah, who knows what we're about to get. Taylor, you want to give us a little refresh on the Watt on Prime Twitter screen here? Let's see. What do they show?
Chapter 17.
Are they showing anything up there? Chapter 17. Okay.
Chapter 17.
Chapter 17. Now I want to go look that up. Yeah, everyone's...
Right.
I like Delusions of Grendel in chat. Bear lawn. Yes, exactly. And I think
I put the extra syllable in there too. I don't know. It's just
I always
the way my mind
always
works.
say bear lawn. Yeah, exactly. As we're waiting here, we just decided to go live a couple minutes before the normal time that Wadham Prime has released things in the last couple months, and because why not? It's the holidays. We have time off, and maybe we're gonna get something here. I mean, I feel like it's 99% sure we'll get something if Rafe is tweeting right before this time.
Well, the weird part with it, we were talking about this a little before. Normally, Rafe follows up the Wadham Prime account.
Right.
They'll tweet something and then he posts some context. He usually isn't the one posting it up front. And interesting. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he and Sarah planned this out because they're
tweeting at each other. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And they were
having some fun with us. Yeah, having some fun with us for sure. Well, for those of you that are watching, go share this video out, and let fans know they can come chat with us for whatever this is going to be. We'd love to have everyone here with us. Taylor, you want to give us a refresh there? Are you still refreshing that? Taylor's behind the scenes, refreshing the Wheel of Time Prime account madly. Anyone else see anything from Rafe or Sarah?
So Sarah posted just a check-in about 45 minutes ago, just saying how everyone's week is.
Nice.
Again, I feel like, I was just inspired by hope an hour ago. Like maybe they'll do something. It's Christmas season. Who knows? Right. Now I'm like, maybe something's coming. I wonder if, like, people theorize, especially because the last clip had like music, and people are like, "Oh, is this from the show?" And then he's like, "No, this is just like generic kind of music." I wonder if they're gonna give us some snip of music from the show.
Yeah, Taylor, give us a little refresh here. We're coming up to the hour. It's 10:59. We need a little timer showing up on the screen, apparently. So to Robert's question in chat, I'm sure we'll get to that as part of the conversation we end up having here.
The writing.
Okay. It's 11. Here we go. Anything else showing up here? Oh, there it is. It's a little bit further down, Taylor, on that screen. Let's
something new.
Let's play that for everybody watching here. You'll have to watch it on your own there to my guess. Here we go. Taylor will get it to us. Here we go. Oh, wow. There we go. Oh, looks like we got a script scene right at the beginning. She nods her head to Thom Merrilin, 50s, who's finishing a beer as he heads back to the stage carrying his guitar. And now we have a guitar screen showing up. I love this riff. Thom's guitar. Nice.
Donation for the Gleeman.
Ooh. Donation for the Gleeman right at the end. Okay, yeah. Oh, can you pause right here, Taylor? Like, play that again. Let's pause that. Let's look at this. Can we see anything of what that says? Back that up a little bit, Taylor, and see if, or go forward. Can we see any names above that? It looks like they gave us like a script piece there. So, do we have any more detail? We gotta zoom in on that thing. I see the last line here on this. It says supposed to do
one more song.
One more song. Yeah. Supposed to do one more song. Okay. Anyone else have a good reading of what that says and who?
Now quiet down. Now quiet down. I think he's supposed to do one more song.
Now quiet down. He's supposed to do one more song.
Yeah. I'm aging myself by how I'm reading my phone right now, by the way. I'm like, but
the now quiet down. Yeah, now I'm looking here. Anyone else in chat see this thing? Anyone else can give us any more clarity? Zoomed in. I'm gonna take a look here on my own screen. See if I can't. Yeah, that's really blurry.
Some context here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So this is clearly not how Thom is introduced in the books.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like he's playing because the wording here is that he's like, this is where we're being introduced to Thom Merrilin, and it looks like he's playing a song. My guess is he is not playing a song in the Winespring Inn.
Well, if they're well, yeah, that's a good question. If the and what did you say? Somebody said Sarah tweeted conscious changes.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone think that this is an introduction? Then, is that what you're saying, Nae'blis? You think this is maybe the introduction to Thom?
I think this might be our introduction to Thom.
Yeah, that was a question that came up when Geekieri, for those of you that are watching, have not watched the block videos that Geekieri has done on YouTube. You need to go check those out if this is kind of your thing, following these kind of details. Correct me if I'm wrong, Thom or Nae'blis, if you watch those, and maybe I see Geekieri in chat here, so she can probably answer for us. I feel like we don't have confirmation that he was there in block 1. Is that right? Am I remembering that right?
I think you are remembering it correctly. I think that we only have confirmation of him in block 2, which kind of our original, like when they did casting announcements and they had everybody and they didn't have Thom right then. I think that there was a lot of theorizing at that time that maybe he doesn't leave Emmons Field with them, that they meet him like on their journeys. And I guess this kind of feeds into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I wonder. Conscious changes from Sarah. Block video. Block video maybe suggesting that he wasn't there for episodes 1 and 2, and maybe this is. Oh, he was there he was there. Block 2 is what Geekieri said.
Right.
So
3 and 4. Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting question here that Nae'blis you kind of led into, which is. Yeah, is this the introduction to Thom? But this is Merrilin, so are we getting Merrilin or not?
Well, do we know if it's Merrilin? We don't know necessarily that
That's true.
It is Merrilin.
True.
We know that Thom sings this song in Merrilin in the books, but that obviously doesn't mean much.
Right. Taylor, want to play that for us again? You got a pretty good zoom in there, but yeah, let's show this for the crowd that's not that hasn't watched yet. So yeah, that's a good zoom in. Quiet down. Yeah. Only is that the first word is only. I can't see it from is that second on the second line down, since we're talking about Thom, is that a G? I don't know. I can't tell if that says there's a GL. Anyways, this is a take. I need a lot of people to kind of dig in. Yeah, go for it.
My pizza just arrived, so
you're gonna be right back.
Give
Yeah,
me
Taylor.
2 seconds.
Go ahead and play this. Go ahead and play this full thing, Taylor, for everybody again. Well, that zoom in was really good. I'm gonna have you go back and do that once this is over. I do have to say I'm enjoying these little snippets they're giving us. I really wish they would have given us more on that script, though.
Yeah,
show
the Gleeman tease.
It looks like, again, I'm gonna have to look at this in a better way. I can't see.
Taylor, get as close as you can there, and then pause it there.
It looks like it says "end" underneath that. Like this might be the end of an episode or something like that, or the end of a season.
Oh yeah, good point. I think that's what Geekieri was mentioning. It says, does that say "end"? So, and I want to it looks like the 2 names above don't look. I'm reading off of blurs here, but they don't look this. Obviously they're 2 different people. Only something something. That word at the end does seem like the first line of that second phrase.
I think that
I see quiet down.
Gleam.
Yeah, the Gleeman. Yeah. But is it
now,
quiet down? There's but quiet down. They're supposed to do one more song. He's supposed to do one more song.
Yeah,
interesting.
I do think that the dialogue above that, I think that's Rand. I think that says Rand. I can't read any of the words.
Oh, the dialogue above it, you think that says Rand? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it's Rand's line, and then I can't understand who the response is. Although I think it's going to be Dana. I think that this is me. I can't read it well, but I think that might be Dana.
Why would you? Does it say it?
No, it
doesn't.
I'm trying to.
I hate to interrupt. Rafe just tweeted again. Sorry, breaking news. He tweeted again. This is a conscious change. I'm paraphrasing. But he's also about to do a Q&A. So if anybody's got questions.
Oh, sweet. Thought I'd do a Q&A about the changes in the books in my Instagram stories. So, yeah, while you're watching here, we'll try to cover that in the Instagram stories. He said, after What on Prime gave you the HMS, this time they're giving you a big departure from the books. Thom Merrilin's guitar, not harp or flute. So now that we have a more controversial piece from the show, I thought I'd do a Q&A about changes from the books in my Instagram stories. Oh, it's really interesting. Wow. There's a caller. Let me bring the first caller in. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing? Who's this?
Good. This is Lauren.
Lauren, hey man. Hey, good to hear your voice.
Hey, what's up, Lauren?
So I don't have my wife is not available to screen calls right now. So yeah, like how are you doing?
Otherwise he wouldn't have let you through.
Exactly.
I'm doing great. I just wanted to point out, I don't know if I heard you guys say this, but when a name is in all caps in a script, that usually means it's the first time they're being introduced in the show or script.
Oh, really? I don't think I realized that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's like a common script writing rule: is all caps name means script or first time.
In the like in the stage directions, you mean, right? Like when they're introducing. Okay. I just want to.
So yeah, Rafe posted that same. He obviously posted it, and I can't tell if he's doing questions through his Twitter account or not, or if he's going to do a story. But yeah, for those of you that are watching, also go check out Rafe's his Instagram account, because he's going to do a Q&A there. So that'd be interesting to kind of pull some of that stuff in. But yeah, interesting point. First time we're meeting Thom, so that would suggest that's not the only what do we want to say big change, right? Guitar, that Rafe just mentioned, and obviously if this is the first time he's being introduced, there is a point. Rafe brought this up. It was in December, I thought. Let's look that up. Doesn't Rafe, for those who are watching, I think back last year, he said something about seeing a Gleeman for the first time, like seeing whatever. He talks about seeing a Gleeman in an inn for the first time, and I'm gonna go look up that tweet. See if I can find that here, because I wonder if that you could say that's that applies here. Obviously, when he actually. Now I got to go find that. It's gonna be. Oh, I guess he doesn't tweet it that much, thankfully. So he says, let's see. It's when they're doing. Oh yeah, there it is. Rafe, back on December 4th of last year, he said, "Ye of little faith, sometimes it takes a minute to find someone who's absolutely perfect to play a character as important as Thom. I was actually in an old inn with him this afternoon to witness a Gleeman performance, and let me tell you, he is something special." So I feel like you have to tie these two together. If we can tie in this, if you're right, Lauren, that it's the first time the name's in caps that we're seeing him. If we believe the Block 2 idea, this is December 4th. Geeky Yuri, you can correct me if I'm wrong. December 4th would have been part of Block 2, right? Yeah, Geeky Yuri, she just said, I think that was December 4th. She was already had. So yeah, Block 2, Rafe is saying he's seeing Thom for the first time. We're seeing a script suggesting that we're seeing him with a guitar. And now we see that there are two people speaking above that. And all you had to do, Amazon, was give us those two people. That was asking a little bit too much, apparently. But we're going to have some sleuths, I'm sure, try to tighten that image up, sharpen it up, and hopefully maybe give us some clarity about what's being said there. Is anyone in chat that's watching here?
I'm literally doing that right now.
Are you doing that right now, Lauren? Okay, Lauren is doing that for us right now, which is good.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody better to do it, Lauren, so...
Yeah, exactly.
Well, unfortunately, I'm failing. So
you're failing. I kind of, while I'm running the show, I'm going to try to see if I can't manage to also follow your footsteps here and try that out. Yeah, some people are mentioning the guitar is gorgeous. Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out why they made that change.
Well, another minor thing, they're also saying Thom Merrilin 50s, so that's another indication that this is the first time we see him, right? It's a very small description of what he looks like. And then another thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't Gleeman cloaks have patches on the outside? It says Thom is wearing the patchwork of color on the inside of his cloak, identifying him as a Gleeman.
On the inside,
I know that
oh
he
yeah, good
sometimes
one.
hides his cloak. I wonder if they're making the patches only on the inside so that he doesn't stand out so much when running around, or if he's hiding his patchwork cloak underneath some other cloak.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, like he's in hiding, if you will. And maybe he's in hiding. Well, okay. Would he be in hiding if he was closer to Camelin? Right? Would he be hiding his cloak because he's too close to Camelin and people would recognize him? I mean, not that the cloak is the thing that's going to make him unrecognizable. Pavara's mentioning that the cloak is reversible in the books, so there might not be anything special about that. But I think you pointing that out is an important part of just like tweaks to basically what this might be telling us. Anything else coming up for you, Thom or Nae'blis?
Well, I was going to just jump on that too because I was noticing the same thing. The way that the way the description is in the script. It implies that here in the show, Gleemen have patches of patches on the inside of their cloaks. Like that identifies them as a Gleeman. Like the way I'm reading it, at least. So like that looks like it's a change as well. And then in regards to the guitar thing, I think this might literally just be like, hey, we're gonna have to teach somebody how to play a harp. Like people know how to play a guitar. Like it'll be an easier cast,
Right.
And I think that making that change might just broaden the ability of them to find an actor who can play the part. I think it might be something as simple as that. I don't know.
Yeah, but, that's a good point. Like something that he could do himself,
right.
And that it would give it definitely a sense of, not legitimacy is the wrong word, but I'm trying to throw some contrast and brightness on this thing, inverting the image a bit as I'm coming down.
I was going to say another thing. We know that Alexander, what's his name, Willem. Alexander Willem, is that his name?
Yeah.
Who plays Thom Merrilin? We know that he plays the guitar, and so I kind of agree. Rather than trying to fake someone playing the harp, they're trying to go more authentic. They're taking someone with actual talent and skill, and they're having him actually perform, which is going to make the show feel way more authentic. Now, I know the harp is a really big deal, but I could see Rand running around with Thom Merrilin's guitar on his back, instead of a flute case or whatever. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, and sorry for whoever, someone was online waiting for us to take their call. Give us a call back here in just a couple minutes. We'll kick Lauren off. No, but yeah, good comment.
I mostly wanted to point out the things about, another thing, the guitar is all caps, which is probably the first time we see that prop.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Well, let me hit on a little bit because there are some people, I'll be nice. There are some people saying some things in the chat about the guitar. First of all, it's a prop. I'm a book. I want this to be just like the books, but I don't think that matters. So I'll just say that up front. I don't really care that it's a guitar or not. But to me, it makes a ton of sense that we go with the guitar because again, when they're making changes, Sarah tweeted out conscious change. You see, Rafe said something similar in his description. This was deliberate and on purpose. This isn't oops, we didn't realize that Thom didn't play a guitar in the books, right? So you have to ask yourself, why would we make this deliberate change? And I think it makes a ton of sense because number one, guitars are far more relevant to a modern audience than a harp is. There's only so many things that you can do with a harp. Whether Alexander Willem can play the harp or not is that's a part of it, I'm sure. But I think guitars are much more relevant, and there's a lot more that you can do with a guitar. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. No, it's I like the idea that it's relevant. It likely was. My guess would be, it's a skill set he has. It adds to some.
Well, we've seen him on Twitter or Instagram playing the guitar.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a skill that he has. It probably adds to the legitimacy of. I love it.
We have a Q&A question up from Rafe. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead. And Taylor, you can probably throw that up too. If you want, you can find.
It's on his Instagram
Rafe
story.
on Instagram. I don't know if you can see that, but
I'll let you guys go and let other callers get in. But thanks for taking my call, you guys.
You're awesome, man. Feel free to call back too if you want. But yeah, thanks, Lauren. I really appreciate it.
Who is the most significant? See you, Lauren. I'm sorry.
See you, Lauren.
Who is the most significant season 1 character you invented for the show? And here was Rafe's answer. There's no one fully invented. Anyone new is either a character pulled from somewhere in the series and changed, or a composite of groups or types of characters personified in one individual. Other than Steve, obviously.
It's in his story. Can you get to his story and show it? Other than Steve.
That's funny.
Well, I'm going to screenshot it, Matt, and I'm going to text it to you. I don't know if that will
Sounds
help.
good. I'm going to see if Taylor can kind of put it up on the screen for us to see here as he does them, and we'll be able to show that also. Yeah, there you go. Taylor's putting it up on the screen. So Taylor, send it to the next one, and then just pause it. Can you put your mouse over there and pause that? Yeah, this is the answer that Nae'blis just mentioned. The question was, who's the most significant season 1 character you invented for the show? Rafe wrote, there's no one fully invented. Anyone new is either a character pulled from somewhere in the series and changed, or a composite of groups or types of characters personified in one individual, other than Steve, obviously. It's good stuff. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so we'll be able to check these up as we get questions from Rafe. Feel free to give us a call if you have a comment. If you're loving this, not loving this, if you have taken time and actually figured out who the characters are above in that script, that would be awesome. If you notice on the Instagram one, actually shows us more height to that image as it's panning away. So you can actually see that there's a sentence of text above the two, and then there's conversation also. So and Sarah's in chat. She just said, I'm wondering what question she's answering. She said, I'm happy with it, especially for the performance aspect. Yeah. So that's great to hear, and I appreciate that, Sarah, kind of throwing that out there. I think that the aspect of the performance is something that is something for us to take into account as we think about the changes that they're putting in here. So that's great. Taylor, you want to check and see, and if anyone else sees a new answer from Rafe, we can cover that, and we'll put that up here. Let me bring in our next caller to the show. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing? Oh, it's Andrew. How you doing?
Hey,
yeah, what's going on?
Pretty good. I do have one point that may throw cold water on something that Rafe just said, where he says that no new characters have been created. Does that mean that Perrin could still have a wife if it was quote unquote an existing character, like someone who's Emmons Field who was named before, and they just put her as his wife for for however many episodes she's around?
Say that again. Sorry, I was adjusting something here. Say that again.
Rafe said you had said, based on his on Rafe's answer, that he had, somebody asked him, did you have any new characters, completely new characters? And he said, right, we didn't invent any new characters. We just took them from maybe character here and a character there and mixed them. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's no, that the Perrin's not going to have a wife. He could still have a wife if the character is from someone who actually existed. Like take one of the women or girls in Emmons Field who was given a name.
Yeah, that's
Wouldn't
a good point.
That still satisfy his answer?
What do you think? Do you think that the theory out there, and those of you watching in chat, do you think the theory out there that that Perrin might be married fits, that character that could be his wife fits within the parameters that Rafe has kind of established here? What are your thoughts, Nae'blis and Thom?
I'm sorry, I'm distracted because Sarah is distracting me in the chat.
Yeah, I still think when I go back to that answer, if I go look at that, I still think it fits because he says, and sorry, let me get the exact quote up here again. And Taylor, maybe you can chuck it up there. And it looks like he answered something else, so let's do that one. Go to Instagram here. So let's stop it on the first one and just verify that for your question here, and then we can jump to his next one. So his first one, if you pause that on Taylor, he said, there's no one fully invented. Anyone new is either a character pulled from somewhere in the series, and changed, or a composite of groups or types. So I think that phrase right there, and changed, pulled from somewhere and changed, fits that that question you just asked. And Taylor, can you refresh that screen on Instagram, and let's pull him. He has another answer for us. You want to pause that? So the question is, 1 second. Let me give this question.
Yep, that's fine.
The question was, how difficult was it to change or leave out characters from the books for screen adaptation? So Rafe said, sometimes very difficult, obviously. People who drive the story or shed light on our characters' backstories or the world of the show always will be more likely to make an appearance. But some people are there in glimpses or subtle nods just for our enjoyment. Some extras were named as characters and given things, looks from the books, so keep your eyes peeled. Let's read that again. It was, how difficult was it to change or leave out characters from the books for screen adaptation? He said, sometimes very difficult, obviously. People who drive the story or shed light on our characters' backstories or the world of the show always will be more likely to make an appearance. But some people are there in glimpses or subtle nods just for our enjoyment. Some extras were named as characters and given things, looks from the books, so keep your eyes peeled. So that's fun. Okay. That's a good answer. What do the three of you take from that second answer, maybe in regards to his first, or where that might suggest any changes?
Well, so my initial reaction is that's pretty much the route that I would assume we would have gone, because I mean, what is it? There's 2,600 named characters in the books. I mean, we're not going to get to meet every single one of them and get a story from them, right? And so. Right. But at the same token, it's very easy to place some of those people in the story and maybe not give them screen time, right? Not give them lines. And so I think that's a great way of handling a massive story like The Wheel of Time.
Right.
That's my initial reaction.
Nae'blis, I'll give you an example. The one of the sailors, if they have Domin, one of his sailors, the one who he kicked off the bridge for not watching properly or something. I think in the books that's given a name. Mm-hmm. Maybe you just say, hey, you're off the boat.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the idea that they might throw some people like.
I mean, that's an example.
Yeah, people wonder if Steve is one of those people that's on chat.
I'll give you another example. So in the opening chapters, like let's go with the Ravens prologue, which a lot of people didn't even know existed. There are close to like 45 Emmonsfield characters introduced in one chapter in a prologue. Named characters, close to 45 of them. You're not going to get to introduce all of them, but we may see Will Alcine in the background and not have him be a named character, right? Like that type of thing can happen. So I absolutely think that's going to happen, and that's awesome. Real quick, I want to mention, because I think it got glossed over, and I want to make sure that we come back to it, whether we talk about it now or not. The thing that Sarah had.
All right, thanks. I'll go. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Andrew. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
The thing Sarah had me distracted on was she was talking about in the chat, how come nobody's talking about the place where the guitar is set?
Okay.
And I was staring back at that, like watching it over and over again, and trying to figure out what the heck in is.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we need to ask that question. Rafe just answered one question, so Taylor, throw Rafe's. Let's cover Rafe's next question, and then I want to ask that question to everybody, and for those who want to call in and give us an answer that they think, what in is this? That's a fantastic question. Rafe's next question and answer here, Taylor. You want to throw that up? Might have to refresh. Oh, there it is. The question was, how many times did I give you blank stares when discussing possible changes? This one is obviously from Sarah Nakamura. There were moments when a thrilled room full of writers would go, we've cracked it, it's amazing. But can insert book canon person place thing be insert non-canon idea instead? And Sarah's resounding, withering stare would tell us to go back to the drawing board. Rip Perrin talking to a bear. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Is that really telling us that they suggested that Perrin was going to talk to bears, not wolves? That's fantastic. Wow. So, yeah, it makes you wonder how many of those conversations I wonder if Sarah just is tallying them somewhere, and she's and someday she'll be able to give us like an exact count of those moments. But that sounds like one of them. And Ed Leafcast is saying, yeah, like Perrin, a bear brother. That's right. Wow. We thank you, Sarah, for saving all of Wheel of Time fandom from Perrin, the bear brother. That is, I feel like that needs to be a meme somewhere. So, Yes. Oh, there's another question. Taylor said there's another question. Let's go see that one. Let's get that back up here. The next question is, in the books, we always enter the story on the wind. Will that be a convention we see a lot? The answer is we've tackled the wind in the pilot in what I think at least, is an unexpected but rewarding way. Excited to see what you all think of it. So yeah, great answer there about the wind. Great question about the wind. I'm loving the questions here so far. Sarah's comment, by the way, was I kept sending him gifs of wolves eating bears until that was changed. That's fantastic. Anyone, feel free to give us a call if you want to jump into this conversation other than in chat. Loving seeing the chat comments here. If you're curious what what comments we're referring to when we say Sarah's in chat with us, it's awesome to have Sarah here, enjoying along with us this kind of reveal that's happened this morning. This is fantastic. But let's now go to Nae'blis' question. I think that's, by the way, Lauren said Perrin is a bear, confirmed. Let's go to the question on the table now, which is, you mentioned that Sarah said in chat, no one's talking about where it's sitting or something like that. Is that how you said it?
Yeah, the setting where that guitar is sitting, and it's obviously an inn, and the set design is awesome. So I'm curious now, what is that? The wine spring? That goes back to that initial question that we were talking about: is where are they introducing Thom? Is Thom performing in the Wine Spring Inn, or is this somewhere else?
Yeah, this is okay. So let's throw out what we believe from a speculation standpoint. Block 2 suggests not the Wine Spring Inn.
Correct.
This is the first time we've met Thom. He's playing a guitar. What looks like maybe the end of a scene. So this is our introduction to him. We know that he was part of Block 2, and people that are wondering in chat what Block 1, Block 2, Block 3, go check out Geeky Aries' channel and go watch those videos. They're extremely instructive. But when we say Block 2, we're talking episodes 3 and 4. Yes, we know they film things out of sequence. That's great. But in most cases, that's not going to be the case. And so speculation suggests it's the first time we've been introduced from the script standpoint to Thom. It's in Block 3. We have reason to believe that beginning of episode 2 is already outside Edmonds Field. We know, not reason to believe, it seems factual that they've already gone across the river in episode 2. So it suggests to me that they, I guess, when do they hit Merrilin? They hit Merrilin, now I'm trying to think of, they hit it afterwards. So it still could be, this could be Merrilin, right? I mean, this could be the scene that we expect. It would be episode 3 at least, though. I'm a little bit curious here. So those of you that are watching, do you think that this is Merrilin? Thumbs up if you think this is Merrilin. Thumbs down if you don't believe it's Merrilin. I'm kind of curious.
Matt, I'm putting a few things together here.
Yeah.
First of all, we're talking about bears. Now Bear Lawn.
Yes.
Just saying.
I like it. I like the way you're. So I'm kind of curious.
Has a new one up, by the way.
Taylor, throw this question up on Instagram. He's got a new one, and we'll cover Rafe's question. Okay, I'm digging this. By the way, who's enjoying this kind of live coverage thing? We got to come back and do this again. The fact that Rafe is answering some questions, Sarah's in chat. We're playing this thing live for people and covering stuff that he's answering. This is awesome.
I feel like you're Anderson Cooper sending us to like breaking news. We have our
this is breaking news. The gray's coming in. It works out. So the question is, do you have to change character personalities for a screen adaptation? Rafe's response was, we try not to. Most of our job is about making sure that we create a story and scenes that can tell the audience about character motivations and why they're doing something they're doing, when we can't just drop into their head and say it like you can in a book. This often results in some of the biggest changes, in quotes, but they're ultimately put in to make sure that the character on screen is as emotionally true as possible. So, I mean, this kind of follows along the the thread that we keep on hearing from Rafe, like there's changes, but look, they're trying to make these things more obvious to the viewer, and so it's not necessarily because they're hoping to to ruin the books. It's they want to make something more obvious and therefore putting a change in. I think that's a reasonable idea, and this goes to that question of the guitar we talked about. What are the reasonable things they're trying to do there? The bear thing, I'm not sure I can explain that one though. Like what? Go back to that question, Taylor. Can you throw up? I think it's the second. Oh no, it's like maybe the fourth question. I want to try to fit the bear thing into everything that Rafe's said up to this point. I want to say it's keep going here. This goes down to go one more ahead here.
Isn't this talking to bears?
No, this next one. No, sorry, go back to. I'm trying to figure out where the question is that I want. Yeah, I can't remember what the question is exactly, but he says something to the effect of that he basically this idea that we need to have certain changes, and then the writers are talking about making Perrin talk to bears instead of wolves. So I wonder what were they trying to show us there that they couldn't show us with wolves, with bears.
I think it's more of just a reaction to Game of Thrones than anything.
Okay.
Think about this. They were writing that first season right at the end of Game of Thrones, of the show, which heavily featured not only wolves, but sort of like warging into wolves. So like, even though we know Wheel of Time came first, it's coming second in terms of the television adaptation. And the majority of people that watch this are not going to be fans like us. And so I think there's a conscious thing in the back of your head to maybe not want to seem like you're copying something, even though we know that you aren't, right? I think that's where
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
that thought process
that makes sense.
comes from.
That makes sense. I'm still glad that Sarah kiboshed that as much as she could. There's another question here. We have two callers. We're going to cover Rafe's next question. Then we'll bring our next two callers in. Go ahead, Taylor. The question is, were there any changes in earlier drafts of scripts that were scrapped in the final version? Rafe's response was, yes, tons. We are never afraid to try something and see if it works. But then that has to also go through Sarah and me. I drive the writers as crazy as anyone with sticking to the books. It also then goes to Brandon Sanderson, Harriet McDougall, and Maria Simmons, who have been huge helps in checking us and helping us go back to the drawing board on changes, or many times saying, that works, and giving us permission to release a tiny sigh of relief. And that's cool too. For those of us that are a little bit concerned about that bear discussion, the fact that it's that it is going into so many hands and so many hands that we care about, and actually that there are situations where they're sending back like, you know what, that change works, and Brandon's talked about this even on his own, which is he assumes that anyone adapting his material will have to change it, and so the fact that there are changes and that the team over there are actually in some cases saying it works is great to hear. Let's bring this first caller in. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing? Who's
hey,
this?
What's up? It's Jen from Talk Around Riyadh. How are you?
Jen, good to see you.
I know you.
Jen, we know you. So
hey.
What's going on? So what are your thoughts here? A lot's happening.
The second to last question. I know. I'm so happy that I'm home right now and I can watch. This is awesome. You need to quit your job and do this every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, just like this, right? Yeah, I need to block out some time, right?
Everyone take a lunch and just do this. But the second to last Rafe answer you just said, where he said something about like how you can't get in characters' heads, so they have to show more, and those are some of the changes. As soon as I read that, I thought about Perrin having a wife and being married, because to me it felt like we won't be able to see, like, and I don't want to say what the big spoiler for that might be, but like that thing that we think might happen would show why he is the way he is, rather than us just like getting inside his head all the time. That just, as soon as he said that story just popped into my head. I'm so worried that it's going to be true
now. now Rafe is making you actually lean towards like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen.
Yeah, I really do think that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's,
the one before where he said about like he didn't create any characters, I was like, okay, maybe that's about, but now I don't know. Now I'm back to it might happen.
yeah, those, putting all these together, it doesn't necessarily make those any less likely than they were before, and possibly more likely. Back to this question. So Jen, before we let you go here, back to this question about the inn. What inn do you think this is at?
I don't know. What if it's the Queen's blessing?
That's
The Queen's blessing. Oh my gosh.
We really don't think he's going to be.
Before you answer this, let's do Rafe's next question because.
Taylor, show Rafe's next question here. Okay, let's keep you online and let's cover that. By the way, the Rafe live Insta with the live show with people calling in, this is ridiculously fun. this is just stupid fun.
Sorry to cut you off, Jen. I was just thinking, like, I'm reading this and thinking, well, you should probably hear this before you answer that question.
Okay,
so his question was, are there some major characters that appear in the first book that won't appear in the first season? He said yes, and some of them are still slated to appear in later seasons. Again, approaching the adaptation of the series, not just each book individually. A few of these characters I bet you already expect this for, and one at least I think will surprise you.
Rafe, what are you doing, man?
Oh my god.
Killing me here.
One will surprise us. Ishamael? Are we all on board with this? That's Ishamael?
I've been saying it on the show for a month. I don't think he's in the first season.
Okay. That does suggest Ishamael to me, like, very much so. I'm trying to think if there any other character that would surprise us. I mean, anyone come up with something? Those of you in chat, by the way, come join us on over at on YouTube. If you haven't liked this video, please do. We're going to be live discussing all these answers. Rafe mentions, we'll be chatting here. Sarah just said, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm not sure if that's the right interpretation of her comment in chat. I don't know if that's. I don't know, Sarah, was that a good interpretation? Sarah just said he is worse than I am. I love Rafe just when he gets in these Q&A moments. There's just the sincere desire to tell us stuff is just amazing.
I mean, that was evil.
Oh yeah. By the way, you know what's really evil? What's really evil is it is December 23rd, and I can just sense every content creator in Wheel of Time is like, oh my. But I'm going to my parent, whatever. I have Christmas to prepare for.
I just called my parents and canceled it.
So that feels like a Ishamael to me. What's your guess there, Jen? Before we leave, is you think that's a Ishamael that he's talking about?
That sounds right. I was going to say Elaine, but I feel like we wouldn't be surprised at that point. I think everyone's kind of assuming at this point that she's not going to be in season 1, so that to me wouldn't be a surprise. So. Yeah, I guess Ishamael. That's a good guess.
Oh man, there's gonna be lots more guesses. This is gonna breed 1,000 theories, which I love. I love stuff like this.
I'm giving you my hot take theory right here. Hot take.
Okay.
No Ishamael, Pot on Fane. I think that they're keeping this fairly villain free. I don't think we see a single Forsaken in the first season.
Wow.
Oh man.
I think that Pot on
Fane. So how does it end?
The villain. Well, I think we're not going to see the Eye of the World in the traditional way. That may not be a climax. I think Pot on Fane stealing the Horn of Valir.
Oh man. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna bring this next caller in, Jen. I'm sure this will be the last time we chat about this. Let me bring the next caller in. Thank you so much for calling. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, no problem. Bye, guys.
Bye. So let's. Was there another answer from Rafe here that we need to cover before I bring this next caller in? Okay, so we're waiting for Rafe to answer some more questions. Clearly, Rafe has Sarah kind of wondering what he's going to reveal next. I love that. So let's bring our next caller in. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
Hi. I'm Nolan. I'm a first-time caller.
Nolan, welcome. Thank you very much for calling. So what's up? What of everything we've discussed has kind of made you call? What do you want to talk about?
Okay, so I'm thinking about how much happens in Emond's Field in the Eye of the World, and they spend like the first 10 chapters in Emond's Field before they finally get moving on, and the 10th chapter that they leave is called Leaf Takings, and The first episode is called Leaf Takings. So I'm thinking they're going to have to condense so much in that, like you move Thom you pick up Thom somewhere else. Maybe you change Pot on Fane. Maybe he's not a peddler. He's a gleeman. And the kids are like, oh, there's Master Fane the gleeman is back in town. He comes every year around this time or something like that. I don't know. I'm just thinking they might tweak a couple things just to make it feel more a little different, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Spreading out what happens in that first section a bit, And I think there have been some theories that Min is going to show up, later on, not early on in the series. So, maybe that does mean we're going to get Merrilin, but it's only Thom that they pick up there, and not Min, so maybe they've stretched that piece out. What do you think about this, Nolan? Have you been watching as far as what, this little clip that they released about the guitar? What do you think that is going to be? What's your prediction right at this moment?
I think Merrilin's probably the right answer, because something has to happen in Merrilin, and bringing in Thom, I guess it feels kind of right, because, you can't bring him up in Camelin because he hates going to Camelin. So Merrilin feels like the logical place to find Thom.
Yeah, I thought it was less likely we were going to get Merrilin, and now I don't know. Now I don't know what they're trying to reveal with it, but now I'm feeling like maybe we will. Maybe, like you're saying, they've spread out Min elsewhere, but we'll pick up somebody here. So yeah, that's a great question. Have we got anything else from Rafe, by the way, that we can cover while Nolan's here?
Not yet.
No answers.
Just now.
Okay, so perfect. Nolan, you're on with us for another answer from Rafe. Let's chat about this. This looks like a long answer here. Okay, the question is: have there been any major locations or cities you've had? Oh, Taylor, sorry, it's okay. Production. Have there been any major locations or cities you've had to cut for budget, time, or logistics? He said, this is perhaps the biggest source of changes for us. Even with the massive amount of money Amazon has kindly given us to bring this world to life, to go to as many unique cities, villages, locations as they do in the books is simply impossible. We have chosen to do a few places extremely well, both culturally and with production design, instead of doing dozens of places cheaply and badly. This results in many changes that have huge ripple effects. If you can't go to Merrilin, do you still meet Min? Do you still encounter the White Cloaks? Do you still have dreams of Balsamon, etc.? I'm betting that most things that feel the most unnecessarily changed to people from the books, even if they're hugely separated from that specific location, will be born out of a location-specific change. Wow. Okay.
Whoa. Does anybody get the feeling Rafe is watching this and what we're talking about?
Yeah, thank you for answering that question, Rafe, because that is literally what we just discussed. And this goes to the point: is he suggesting here Merrilin is gone? Is that too much to read into this question, that he's just giving us a nod of saying...
I think that's what he just said.
Yeah, I believe that is what he just said. Oh my gosh, what does that mean as far as where they meet Thom then? Let's throw Merrilin out. Okay, Nolan, let's throw Merrilin out. What do you think? I just heard Whitebridge from you two. Nolan, if not Merrilin, where would you have Thom be met?
You can say Whitebridge, but I still feel like he probably... If they pick him up earlier, he probably still fights the Murdraw in Whitebridge. And I think meeting some Gleeman in Whitebridge and then turning around and him basically sacrificing his life for two kids that he doesn't even know at that point just feels kind of weird.
Yeah, if they change that whole section, you'd have to probably change the whole plotting of Whitebridge. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Hey, Nolan, thank you for being a first-time caller. It was awesome to hear from you. Thanks for waiting around, and hopefully you enjoyed this. We'll do this again. This has been way too much fun to cover this live, and we'll try this again, man. Have a good afternoon, okay? Hopefully we'll see you back in chat.
Yep, you too. Okay. Thanks for having me on. Yep,
yeah, absolutely. Bye. Yeah, so I like his point here. Oh, I just saw... so people are throwing some out. Oh, Rajesh and John Talbot just threw out 4 Kings. That would be Whitebridge or 4 Kings. Jennifer Isgo's throwing that out.
My initial reaction to Thom being Whitebridge is, okay, I mean, there are a lot of changes that I think come about from that, because we do need to get some type of introduction. I mean, I don't feel like Thom is making a cameo. Mm-hmm. Maybe he is. Maybe he's making a quick cameo, but again, why have him at all if you're only going to have him for a very brief time? And so I think there are going to be some changes to how they play out Thom's character, would be my guess.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he was at, we know block 2, right? We know he wasn't at that initial table read. We know he's a block 2 character, but we don't have him much spotted at any of the other filming locations as far as I'm aware. Ari can probably say more to that. And so maybe he is having a brief cameo. So I think it could be something like White Bridge or Four Kings or something along those lines.
Yeah, wow. Oh, geez. Of course, Sarah is. This is. Sarah just said someone in chat guessed it because, of course, she said that. now
we got a new one from Rafe, by the way.
Taylor, another question from Rafe. Let's. This is like a water hose at this point. I love it. This is the best December 23rd we could have had, right? So yeah, go ahead, Taylor. Give us this next question. I like Sarah G. One of the 293 of us has guessed it. So the question is, do you attempt to keep book dialogue or start from scratch? He replied, every writer receives a document when they begin their script put together by our book expert, Sarah, that breaks down every scene in the episode and gives specific dialogue and scene references from the books for it, especially for scenes that aren't from the books at all. We'll find scenes from the books with the same characters together or talking about the same thing thematically. That said, predictably, almost all the dialogue in the show is not from the books, so as to sound as natural as possible with our locations, actors, scenes as they're played. That's really interesting. So they basically begin from it says begins their script put together by our book expert. So that breaks down every scene in the episode and gives specific dialogue and scene references from the books. I love that aspect. And like Sarah just said, he's giving insight into what she does. Again, connecting it to what we see in the books, but not being a directly kind of derivation from it or a derivative of it, which I like because it gives reasoning, but it also gives, then they have the freedom to kind of create the scene because it's not directly taken from the books itself. So thoughts on this, the both of you?
So go ahead. I'll let Thom go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm actually trying to absorb that. I'm trying to think of like, is there dialogue, like a scene of dialogue from the books that I feel is a necessity that they better put these lines in exactly this way, or I'm gonna be upset. And I don't know if I'm upset. I would be as upset if dialogue is changed as if, certain set pieces or certain, plot lines are changed. I don't know if this bothers me. I think I might be okay with this. Like, if you're just gonna say like, here's the stepping stone, these are the dialogue pieces, these are your inspiration. Go write something that people who are listening to TV they're not gonna mind it. Like, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with that, and I think the obvious thing that's going to happen here. I think I've mentioned this. I know other content creators too have. I don't think that the swear words are going to be the same. I think we're going to get. I don't want to say more modern, but it's going to sound cheesy to people that haven't read the books if they just hear "Mother's Milk in a Cup." Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think that, and I see a lot of people mentioning like there's certain phrases they have to say, and maybe I didn't take from Rafe's answer that they won't use a phrase from the books. I took from him that they're not going to just wholesale take dialogue and have a conversation go the same exact way, in part because in the end that's not the scene. If they don't have the exact same scene or they've changed something about what happens to a character, then the exact same dialogue wouldn't fit. Sarah just mentioned in chat, I help put the books back into the show, and there's at least a few lines I can think of that are taken straight from the books, for those of you that are curious. So that's a great answer. Was there another question from Rafe there?
New question up,
yeah.
Yes.
Let's throw that up. And by the way, if you're here watching right now, please like this video. Like I said, let the fans out there know it's here. Go retweet that live link that we sent out there, and let them know they can come and chat with us. Give us a call if they have any comments about what's happened today, and read along and kind of dialogue with us here in chat. This has been a ton of fun. So let's see what else Rafe had to say. How far through the series did you consider making changes in terms of repercussions? That's a great question. Rafe said, we have to consider it for the entire series, which has led to many in-room conversations, screaming matches, where someone is like, the yellow sister healing someone in the scene cannot be Chesmal Emery. Are you kidding me? Do you know anything about Chesmal Emery? Would you just Google a random yellow sister name and pick what you liked? You and your yellow sister, it's not going to be... Yeah, anyways, it's Chesmal Emery, I guarantee you that. Yeah, he's basically saying, it's like people are sitting there saying, it's not going to effing be her, I guarantee you. Yeah, that is hilarious to know. Thank you very much, Rafe, to give us that kind of context, because that's Nae'blis, who wanted to hear me? No way, man. I hold the line here. even a direct quote. There you go. That answer is fantastic, like Joe just said, because it shows some passion, and I kind of makes me wonder if every time the person yelling back is Sarah. Like, I want to know if that's a direct quote from Sarah.
I mean, Rafe did say he also gives everybody a hard time, so it could have been.
Sure, it should. Yeah. I wonder if most of those are direct quotes from Rafe and Sarah. I wish it'd be nice to know. Someone should ask Rafe here. If you're still asking Rafe questions, it'd be fun to find out if there are other people in those rooms, in the writers' room and such, who have a wealth of knowledge of the books themselves. Maybe not as great as Rafe and Sarah. So if anybody wants to ask Rafe that question, I'd love to hear that.
By the way, that just confirmed Chesmal Emery season 1.
Lock it in.
Sarah just said, I have had many withering stares, shouting matches, I'm assuming, and I miss them. I just have to wonder the bear conversation. And Rajesh said it's always Sarah yelling back. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call or comments about Rafe's answers here, or if you happen to want to talk back about, like, we've moved away from the whole discussion of Thom and the inn at this point, so because there's so many other things going on. And Sarah said, you can know it's not because I actually don't swear. See, there you go. I appreciate that, Sarah. So that's
if you
funny.
don't mind, there's
go
one
for
other
it.
thing I wanted to about the previous question where we were talking about the dialogue and changing things. I think if you put that together with a previous question that Rafe had answered, right? We've talked about it on our show a lot. Like, they're not going to have internal monologue, like voiceovers, like the 1984 Dune movie, right? They're gonna be changing things, and the dialogue is probably going to change as a result of that, right? Like, you have to speak out loud things that in the books you can put an internal monologue so that the audience understands. So I think that, like, putting that all together, that's going to, I think, for people who are hardcore book fans, be a hard thing to swallow at first. Like, he would never say that, but, like, you have to show it out loud, because you can't allow the voiceover, right? You can't have a chapter that's Perrin's internal monologue. That doesn't translate on screen. So.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree with that. Sarah said the writer's room is a riot. This whole live stream has been a riot, by the way. This has been a lot of fun doing this. I thought it might be fun, but it probably could never have been as much fun as I imagined here. So no other questions.
Here we were talking before this that there was not even going to be anything to talk about.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. He's given so many in-depth answers. If you go look at these on Instagram, just majorly deep answers, and I love that. And I imagine as we get closer to the show coming out, Rafe is going to keep talking to the hardcore fans that are all sitting here in chat and watching this, and really talking through why decisions were made, like he's doing here. Almost in preparation, I would imagine, for what we're going to see. So it's not such a shocking, in many ways, right? We're kind of being eased into out of the books and into this adaptation, and that's, at some level, you have to kind of appreciate that about what Rafe and Sarah here are doing, because, right, your average viewer is not going to know anything about the bears or wolves, and they're not going to really care about these conversations, and likely will never go back and watch them because they won't care. They're just there for the show. So, Ed, by the way, definitely give us a call if you want to make a comment about anything that Rafe has said. We'd love to hear from you. If Rafe, you're watching, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you too. In fact, anyone that's watching, someone that's in the writer's room that wants to claim that comment that Rafe just mentioned, we'll take your call too. So I want to play this again. Taylor, I don't know if it's easy for you to show the Twitter. I don't know if you kept that tab open and you want to show the video again. If any of you somehow have not watched this, let's watch this one more time. This is what Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime released today. And because I'd like to get back to this question of Inns and his comment about Merrilin. Come on, Amazon, unblur those lines.
I'm just sitting here refreshing my Instagram every 2 seconds.
Nice, yeah. Keep refreshing. Exactly.
Donation for the Gleeman.
Donation for the Gleeman. Interesting. Does that sound like him? Like, in other words, do you think that is Alexander Wilhelm that's actually saying donation for the Gleeman there? And yeah, I'm kind of curious, like the concept of him asking for donations, if that tells us anything either. So yeah, hashtag unblur those lines. Yes, we need that hashtag.
I don't know why, but I immediately started thinking about The Witcher.
Yeah.
Toss that stupid song.
Yeah. Toss a coin to your Gleeman. Yeah, exactly. This question of where is this? Joe Perry in chat does believe that is Alexandre. That's his voice. The question of where is huge. I'm not sure what question Sarah's answering. Yes, by the way.
Sarah confirmed that that's him, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what she's confirming with yes there. But yeah, the wonder is, if this isn't Merrilin, how close is this? If this is block 3 and 4, is this on the way to somewhere along the road to Camelin, right? Because after Merrilin, they go to Shadar Logoth, right? And then they break up. So
I think this is just a theory that I have based on stuff. Like, they're not going to meet. They're going to meet Thom until after Shadar Logoth and after they break up. I think only Rand and Matt are going to be meeting him. That's just the way that, like, based on what I know and heard and we've conjectured, I think that this is going to be after that. And I think
it has to be. It has to be after the breakup, right? And so who is meeting him? Yeah, that has to be our question here: is who and when are we getting this? It's block 2. So episodes 3 and 4. And maybe this will let us go kind of back and dig in there. You think Rand and Matt are going to meet him, broken up from the larger group? Interesting. Okay, I'm kind of curious for those in chat. Taylor, I guess I could send Taylor like an A, B, or C. What are the options here? Do we have any? What are the top 4 options? And we can let everybody in chat kind of vote for those. We have people have brought up 4 Kings is an option. What else have people brought up as our top candidates here for location? Whitebridge was one of them. What else are we thinking as far as where this might occur? Anyone else have? It could
be Camelin. It could be Camelin, but that wouldn't make a ton of narrative sense to have Thom performing in Camelin.
Okay. Anyone else have?
Got a new answer from Rafe, by the way.
Oh, new answer from Rafe. Okay, so we'll query everyone in chat here in just a second. Basically, see what the pulse of all of these hardcore fans that are sitting around, but let's get Rafe's question and answer here first. Taylor, throw that up for us. Have you made changes that hurt you or Sarah to make, but were necessary for the screen? The writer's room floor is littered with my tears. Truly, though, I don't want people to be unprepared for how different the show is to the books. To do a proper adaptation, it has to be. As a thought exercise, just imagine we can only do 4 of the cities from Eye of the World. So from Emansfield, Terran Ferry, Merrilin, Shadar Logoth, Whitebridge, 4 Kings, Brains Spring, Camelin, Faldara, which do you choose? What are the knock-on effects for character and story from the ones you don't go to? Which characters haven't met each other now, and how can you reconnect them? We have amazing writers and hugely helpful support in Brandon and Harriet to tackle these changes. But they're not small. Gird your loins, my friends. I swear he's watching.
I know, he's watching it right now.
I don't know, like the person that ever asked that question, that is a direct answer to the question we just asked. So what else should we ask?
Rafe, just call in, man. Just call in.
Rafe,
we'll
at this point, call in. We'd be happy to take your answers for some questions we have. We have some for you. But let's go to this, and let's go to his answer there. Littered with his tears. Like, that felt extremely kind of sincere, and like, gird your loins. You're right. Like, like we just talked about, it does seem like he's preparing us, and he just basically said, "I'm preparing you because And then he mentioned like a bunch of cities and said, if we only could pick 4. So, you look at those and you say, do they meet? It doesn't seem like they meet Thom and Faldara because that's not near the block, right? So you have Camelin. He brought up 4 kings. He brought up Whitebridge. Is there a 4th reasonable option for us to hear? I mean, want me to put Merrilin back in there? I mean, I feel like he kind of canceled out Merrilin, but I can throw it back in there as an option for everyone.
I mean, I'm literally going through making maps for all of the Eye of the World books right now. And so all the towns that we've got Arian, which is a tiny little village, right? We've got 4 kings. There's not Karen's Crossing.
Karen's Ford, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, it's a little tiny town. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're making a small little town. So the question is do you want to do Camelin? Like, you're going to have to do Camelin at some point. I don't think they're going to totally ignore Camelin for the whole series.
Yep.
So does it make sense to throw the budget at it in season 1 to CGI build Camelin as a city, or do we save that? Tar Valon, right? Is Tar Valon going to be a part of this? That would be a major undertaking from a CGI or whatever standpoint. Do we want to make the White Tower? So there, I think he left that out. Tar Valon isn't in, other than a dream sequence, it isn't in Eye of the World. Mm-hmm. But I still think we may see that. So I think this is absolutely, it makes sense. And very early on in my channel, I did a video talking about the things that they might have to consider with this. Like, if they're going to make changes, they want to do them consciously, right?
Yeah.
But they want to do them consciously with what is the least amount of collateral damage that this change makes, right? Like, what's the least amount that it's going to totally change the rest of the series? Or if it does change it, how can we redirect that story? Because those are things they have. You literally can't build 50 sets. So, I do think the number of 4 probably makes some sense to a degree. And the question is what 4 are they?
Yep. And which 4 do they keep? And then where is Thom in that? I'm going to ask everybody in chat while we wait for Rafe to answer another question. Okay, Taylor, can you throw up a poll in chat here for us? You're going to put up A, B, C, and D. And your 4 options here are Merrilin, 4 kings, Whitebridge, or Camelin. Those are your 4 options of where you can choose them. A is Merrilin, B will be 4 kings, C will be Whitebridge, and D will be Camelin. And I guess I could drop that kindly into chat for you, just so you know that it's there. And Taylor's going to put a poll here in the chat window just with the options A, B, C, and D. And I'm kind of curious, am I missing any here? Do we feel like there's any other options that I should add before we do this? Just say, where's Thom? Thom is Thom.
I'm here.
Because other Thom is right there. So, 1 second. People are putting those in. Sorry, everybody. I know you're throwing your options out. So those are the 4 options that we're putting here. Don't vote just yet. I feel bad. And Jason knows that it's an exclamation point vote. Taylor's going to throw the vote here in chat. A, B, C, D. Yes, A, B, C, D are the options.
Well, before it gets buried in the chat, I want to mention on this, because it's going to get buried. Sarah just kind of responded. So Sarah G said that we already know 3 cities for sure. We know Emond's Field, we know Shadar Logoth, and we know Faldara, at least. So, right? So we know those 3. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think that Rafe gave us all. I don't think we need to think that it's a hard number of 4, right? But there can't be that many more than those 3 cities. We know that we already know we're in it. And Sarah said, mentioned in there that, I don't know if this was in response to my little rant or not, but she said that executives also have a choice in what they want. And so there's going to be some play in that.
Yeah. By the way, I think everyone in chat's watching to see if Sarah answers. And Sarah's going to put like exclamation point vote X or something like that. Yeah, no, that's a good point for those who are kind of curious about this. Yeah, the idea that not only that, there's other people involved in this vote, the choice process that is, beyond just Rafe and Sarah and the writers are all the executives. That's a good point to kind of cover here. Please keep voting. It'll be interesting, and then we'll pick the winner here. Is he done, or did he answer another question here for us? Let's check that out and see if we got anything else from him. And I want to go back to this answer they just did. Sarah said no. The writer's room floor is littered with my tears. And the final statement, gird your loins, my friends. I think those two sentences, and of course he said, I don't want people to be unprepared how different it is. To do a proper adaptation, it has to be. So again, like we've thought about, a lot of these things and a lot of discussions Rafe's having with fans is about us and his communication with us. I really appreciate that he reached out in that regard and said, my friends, right? He definitely feels like one of us in this regard. And to care as much as to suggest that his tears littered the floor, that does suggest a lot of things to us, which we should prepare for, right? From a fan perspective. I think this is has everyone voted in chat? You won't hear this obviously for a delay. But if everyone has voted here or hasn't, remember your vote goes for where you think that this scene is happening with Thom that they've showed us today. A would be Merrilin, B would be Four Kings, C is Whitebridge, and D is Camelin. Those are the four options that we came up with. I'm kind of curious what people are going to say. So make sure you vote in chat if you wanted to. And we have another caller here. After this caller, we will take a pulse from, we'll actually end this vote and see what everyone has said. And Sarah, by the way, I know we keep on interjecting things, and people are watching this are like, what is this? We're talking about Sarah Nakamura. She's in chat with us. Sarah is the consultant on the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime TV show. And she's following along. Obviously, she's very excited for what's happening today. Every time this happens, she can finally talk to us about some things. And Rafe has kind of given us some information, talked about the process and Sarah's process. So I'm sure Sarah's pleased with that in the sense that she can kind of speak to those things in the sense of that they're out there, and we know a little bit about what's going on with her also as a fan being involved with the show so intimately. So let's bring our next caller in. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you?
Is this Mash of the Deck?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. See, I recognize your voice. Once you're on the show or you've called in a couple times, I can pick it up.
You just know who I am.
Yeah, it's over. You can't just kind of come in as an anonymous caller anymore. Yeah, it's over. So what are your thoughts from I don't know if you can encapsulate everything as far as your thoughts are concerned, but what's really kind of settled in for you? Why did you want to call in?
I suppose there were two things. The first one is just every time that we get more comments from Rafe specifically, and obviously Sarah's been around from the beginning, interacting with us, but it really has sort of it's justified the good feeling that I've had about this since the beginning, the faith that I've had in the production, just knowing that the writer's room is full of a bunch of nerds just like us is just heartwarming. I love it.
Yeah.
And, to hear him just speak so frankly and so eloquently about the difficult decisions they've need to make, but how thoughtfully they've gone about it. I haven't, what other adaptation has anybody else experienced where there has been just, I don't know, this level of, it feels like mollycoddling almost, because we're all such anxious little babies about this, that Rafe is being like, you know what, it's going to be fine. Like, it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be okay. and I'm still like, I'm excited, and, I haven't been like bothered by anything. It's just, I'm still excited.
Yeah. I probably would have taken it that way if not for the fact that he's kind of like a hardcore fan too. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, perfect timing. Hey Taylor, you want to throw us another question up? Perfect timing. Mash of the Deck. You get to be here in the midst of another Rafe answer. I love it. We'll address kind of your comment too.
Momentous.
As we go. Yeah, right. This is momentous. I love this. What made you change Thom playing the lyre to a guitar? Thom is a good example of changes made for the show. For one, I want characters to appear when we have the time to spend to properly introduce them and get enough scenes for them to attract a great actor for the role. You will never see scenes on this show where 4 random people appear, say 2 lines, and then disappear for seasons. It just won't get you the caliber of actor you need, and it doesn't properly intro that character to the audience. So for Thom, we wanted to give him a proper introduction, and we also wanted him to have a strong masculine energy that made a counterpoint to Moiraine. We saw actors of all ages, races, and vibes to play Thom, but when Alex Wilhelm's tape came through, we knew he was Thom and moved toward his vibe for the character, which was younger and grittier than Book's Thom. The guitar looks much more fitting in his hands, and with his voice than a lyre. When he stomps onto stage in the show, it's a moment, and that's what we wanted for Thom. Never fear, multicolored cloak is still in existence, but different than you imagine. It is for Isis, our costume designer, nailed it. So, yeah, I have no problem with what he just described, right? That they're playing to the strengths of the actors that they chose. And in that regard, there's going to be some tweaks to maybe the character themselves, but they believe that it serves the show better. I kind of assumed that was going to be the case. Anything else stand out?
Absolutely perfect. Because the other thing I was thinking about was the goddamn guitar. Okay. Some people probably know it, but I'm a classically trained musician, and my particular music nerdery is early music from the medieval, the Renaissance, the Baroque period, etc. And when I saw that it was a guitar, I pointed and I said, that makes sense. Because if we're looking at the wheel, and I think it has to do with the fundamental misunderstanding that some people still have about the Wheel of Time as being set somehow in like a medieval period, because that's not the case, right? We know this, that it's pre-industrial, sort of like without gunpowder, right? We have magic instead of gunpowder. So it would be more anachronistic to have fiddles in the Wheel of Time than it would to be to have a guitar if it were somehow set in the medieval period. So without all of this nerdery, just like, being vomited at you, the guitar that they've made, the one that specifically there, the shape of it, the size of it, I mean, I can't tell how big that bench is, but it doesn't look that big. It looks just like a Renaissance guitar. It looks cool. It's going to sound great. There's precedent for stringed instruments like that in the Wheel of Time. Like, I mean, you could do a whole video just on why the guitar is okay for Thom Merrilin to play, I think. But what Rafe said about it just fitting, the energy that this version of Thom Merrilin has, I think it's great. Because why do we really want the harp after all? What is it about the harp specifically that says, this is Thom Merrilin? Well, it's just, he's the one that makes it important and interesting. Thom being like, well, this is my harp, and it's my harp, and I'm playing my harp, and so you better respect the damned harp. And so Rand keeps it secret and safe, like the ring from frickin' Lord of the Rings, until Thom comes and takes it back. And he's like, nope, didn't play it. Here you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I love the historical context there. I really appreciate you kind of explaining that. Because, again, it's something that's going to be lost on most of us. It's like in my mind, I'm just like, I don't know, it's a guitar. Cool. I don't have any context of when it should have existed. So I love that you're bringing that up, and that there's clearly people that are thinking about this in very deep ways that, honestly, even as a hardcore fan freak, I don't care about the instruments. You know what I mean? That's just not my thing, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, it's fine. Right. That's my particular wheelhouse of nerd stuff.
Yeah. Thom, Nae'blis, anything from this last answer from Rafe or anything from what
Well, there's a new question up, by the way.
Oh, of course there's a new question. I am gonna have to take off 2 hours every Wednesday at this point. so yeah, let's see this question, Taylor. Oh, is this okay. So this is from Twitter. Rafe had replied to Gollum on Twitter, who had said, "The wind that shakes the willow." And Rafe said, "And since you got this first, happy to answer a question of yours as one of my 10 on Instagram Q&A. Just posted here." So Gollum, or Gollum_Watt on Twitter said, "How much of the monster Trolloc Fade Drakkar design is being done practically versus digital effects? Mostly makeup or prosthetics? And with that, how closely does the design match the text? Totally smooth faces on fades, varieties of Trollocs, etc." Rafe said, "We have worked hard to use as many practical effects and pieces as possible for Trollocs and fades, but don't want to spoil all the secrets until you watch the behind the scenes after the first season." So we get fades. That's good. I wasn't sure if that was ever confirmed. I think it's been confirmed that we've had Trollocs, but it's good to know that fades made the cut.
By the way, I'm more convinced now that Rafe is in the chat because he's using the same abbreviations for behind the scenes that people in the chat are. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he must be here.
He must be here. He's literally answering our questions as we say. So
okay, so let's end this vote here shortly. Hey, Master of the Deck, thank you very much for calling in. Love that you were here for that question, for a couple of questions here, and appreciate your
serendipitous timing.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was wonderful. Hey, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Yep, we'll see you in chat. Okay, bye-bye. Let's end the vote. Hopefully, those of you who've been part of the vote here, we're trying to determine where we think this is. What inn is this that we see this happen? That Rafe is literally giving us a lot of details, right? Let's cover that before we end the vote. If you still want to vote, you can do ! The word vote, space A for Berlin. That's right. I say it that way, Berlin. B is Four Kings, C is Whitebridge, and D is Camelin. So while everyone kind of does a final vote, I want to remind everybody, we've just basically been told the following. Like, Thom is going to get his own intro. It doesn't send anywhere close to the first episode or two. It's going to be in a big way. It's not going to be just a one-off sentence, right? So this suggests to me we're not going to get a Whitebridge kind of thing. So I think Whitebridge is... At least that moment in Whitebridge doesn't sound to exist, right? We're not going to get him where he's just going to be like, hey guys, I'm going to save you from the Fade. Like, that doesn't seem like it's happening. So I would say that kind of leans against Whitebridge from being either in the show or involving Thom in any way. And we know that to bring Thom in, he's going to have a significant amount of lines and scenes, especially an actor of this caliber. And they've tweaked him a little bit to be a little bit grittier, which I think is cool. And also, I think they've made him a little bit younger. And like I said, introduced him somewhere later. I like the theory you had, Thom, here. That being said, I'll ask both of your opinions on if you think we have any more clues. But Taylor, go ahead and end the vote for those in your chat. Let's see what we came up with. And thanks for enjoying this December 23rd afternoon, like with us here, everybody in chat that's watching. It's awesome to see your comments. I really appreciate Sarah stopping in and answering questions for us and kind of participating along. Go ahead, Taylor. And unfortunately, I don't think you can change it. B was the most voted option of the poll with 41%. So 41% of our audience here in chat believes this is Four Kings. Okay, let's go down to the Four Kings rabbit hole. If this is Four Kings, what does that mean? Like, okay, let's say 41% of us here in chat, and we're a bunch of hardcore fan freaks. We think this could be Four Kings. What does that mean to both of you?
I mean, right off the bat, this is not remotely what happens in Four Kings, right? I mean, obviously, Thom not being
right.
there, but Four Kings is, that's where they're running in and getting caught with the Dark Friend and Rand channeling the first time and all of that. It would seem odd. You'd have to totally remove that from the story.
So do you think they would remove that, or do you think they would they'd weave Thom into that moment?
And perhaps they weave Thom into it, but they're obviously not performing for their dinner.
Maybe they have Thom already in that room, basically, because he can't afford things or whatever. Maybe that's the place where they've stuck this kind of like, down on his luck Gleeman or something like that, and they chuck the two boys in there with him and they lock him in. Or maybe it's one of those moments where Thom's no one knows he's in there, but he happens to be in there. That might be a little more cliche, but I don't know. Yeah, this is a great question. Thom, do you think that this means, if this was Four Kings, do you think that means that they're going to change what we know happens there? Do you think they're going to put Thom in and make him involved here in some way, or somehow kind of, I don't know how they would do both, but not include them? I guess those are the only two options, right? Is like intermixing what we know happens, or completely changing it.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I think you can make it so that if Thom's not around from the beginning of the story, let's say, that if Thom sees something that he can tie to channeling and Rand, right? Like if he's actually witness to it, that gives him like the same kind of buy-in he has to eventually, possibly, again, they could do major changes, but possibly sacrifice himself to save them later on. If he has some idea that's there, and if my theory is correct that he doesn't meet Moiraine at all in the first season, like to know any of that, if he just goes like, well, this kid is clearly a channeler, like even if he doesn't know it, I know it because I have that experience, right? And like I'm not going to make the same mistake I made before. Like I'm gonna help him like I didn't help my nephew or something like that. Then you could do 4 Kings, I guess, with him there. Him either getting lumped in with them or they lock him in the room where this guy's sleeping, right? I do think, and one other thing I want to say, like because you mentioned it before about like that donation for the Gleeman and the way that he says that and the way that the stage direction has that he finishes a beer before he goes on stage, I think he's going to be pretty much in his cups, pretty like kind of kind of a guy when they first meet him, that they're going to underestimate him as well. So I think that kind of that you could make that all tie together, and that feeds into the things that he's talking about earlier about like, hey, we're going to do big changes so that you get an idea of what this character is in the changes that we have to make for sets and whatever else. Yeah,
I'm actually this change. I'm not bothered by this change at all. If this is 4 Kings, I think it does make a nice convergence of, like you said, him finding out who Rand is, recognizing that, you know, he's on the run, right? Like potentially, like he recognizes they're on the run. He probably thinking they're on the run because, you know, maybe he's on the outside, right, of the inn and he sees the explosion, right, or whatever. Like, you know, maybe this is him seeing an opportunity to kind of get involved. So I think that could absolutely be the case here, and it does make an easy in for him with Rand, and really kind of sells you on the concept that he's invested. Versus, you know, I'll be honest, Emond's Field, he's just kind of there. And he just kind of like, I'm leaving too. This is crazy, you know. But you have to kind of build the reason why he stays, and then they leave in Whitebridge, and it's kind of unsatisfying. Let's be honest, until they get to Cairhien. So, really interesting twist here. What are you gonna think? What are you thinking, Nae'blis?
Well, I think okay. So I want to take the conversation about Thom and apply it across the board to some of the other characters.
Okay.
Because Rafe kind of let us in on a philosophy here about the way that they're approaching characters. They don't want to have people show up, give a couple lines for a couple minutes, and then peace out until the next season.
Right.
Which is, I think, in combination with some of the other things he said, confirmation that we're not getting Tricans. Okay, because and probably not getting Elida. Because those are, why would we cast somebody if we want to get someone good for a major role? We can't cast them for 2 scenes in a show. They're not going to take that role.
Right.
And they're not going to be able to pay them for it. So, you know, I think that kind of comes into that. So here's the second question to me that comes about from that. And that's what ends up happening now with Thom's character? Because as far as I know, he was only around for the Block 2 filming. So I don't think from this that he sticks. Now I could be wrong, and maybe we just don't know. But he could be around or not be around for the later scenes when they're in Faldara, when they're in. So what ends up happening here? What happens to Thom?
Well, the question I have, like you said, is: do we know? Do we know if he's not back? And Thom, this is a question. Do you remember from Geeky Aries videos? And I can't remember if Geeky Aries in chat still, but did we see him in Block 3? Do we know if Thom was back for Block 3? Because good point, Nae'blis. Which is, you know, how long does he actually stay along? He might be there for 2 episodes, but that might be the arc. And why would he break out? You know, what's the you know, what happens to Thom? Yeah, I guess that's a great question. Any theories for those in your chat watching this, or if you have a comment or a theory, give us a call. We'll bring you into the show. I'm kind of curious. If we're thinking 4 Kings, how does he leave us then? Right? If it's not the Whitebridge arc, then where does Thom go? Geeky Area, by the way, just said nope. So he was gone by then. So Block 2. That's a great question, and I don't think anyone. I'm hearing lots of silence. I'm not seeing any great ideas from this question of like, if he has to go. I mean, do they go to Camelin and he breaks away at that point?
Well, here's what it tells me. It tells me that he has a fairly major role in the 2 episodes that he's in.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like, I feel like if he's going to be in them, again, taking Rafe's logic around their thinking here. I think that Sorry, I just saw Recappa say hi, Rafe, and I wondered if Rafe said something in the chat or something. Yeah,
Rafe is not in the chat as far as we know, but
yeah, I really think that he probably has a major role. So in those middle episodes, maybe we get a big focus on Rand and Matt and Thom together. Maybe they travel together and then they get separated. Something has to happen where Thom maybe doesn't carry on, but sets up his appearances later. So that could be the Myrddraal in a different city. That could be something else. But
yeah, it could be a Myrddraal in Caemlyn or afterwards.
Could be getting arrested in Caemlyn for all that. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And it could be that they get involved. I kind of wonder. We don't know, right? We don't know if they're going to follow the line of Moiraine and Thom. And for those of you that are watching, of course, we're talking about the books here. We didn't put any spoiler banner up, but hopefully things have probably been spoiled for you already. But I'm going to bring up this relationship, and if you don't want to hear this, now's a good time to step away. But if they don't go down the road of Moiraine and Thom, then they could give us someone that does not want to be around Aes Sedai. In other words, it could be that like the group gets back together and he realizes that Moiraine is there and that he basically disappears, right? Because he's, does not want to be connected in any way with the Aes Sedai. In other words, I see that as a possibility, although maybe that would make him want to stay to make sure Rand isn't affected. Or has some support, but we don't have any reason to believe that he's part of the later episodes. So yeah, it's an outstandingly good question, and it's an outstanding question. Any other thoughts, Thom, on this?
No, just on the last thing you said, the way that Rafe described it when he was talking about how he cast the part, he did say that they decided to lean into a specific opposite energy from Moiraine. So the way he wrote it did lead me to believe that he was thinking about like how that dynamic is going to play out later.
True.
On.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
But I think you can that's still an option. I don't think you necessarily have to have and then he died. Oh wait, he's not dead. Where you can have a more like maybe you have it as a character failing kind of a thing for him, where he's like, look, I can only do so much. Like I'm a mess, and I'm not going to be able to help you anymore. I'll get you out of this, and then I'm going to go drink somewhere. And so like. It's more, maybe you do that and you make it more of like he rediscovers himself later on. Like when he meets him again, he realizes like you could do other options, or you could just say like, all right, they're going to meet him in Whitebridge or Four Kings. And then outside of Caemlyn, like here's where you can go. I'm going to fight these guys off. Go here for safety, And then the last thing he does is give him that. And then it's the same thing. It's just in a different location. I think, just when you're talking about locations that you don't want to spend a lot of money on, Whitebridge is supposed to look visually awesome, and they're in there for a chapter and a half. So that place itself might not actually make the show.
Yeah, well, I actually flip the opposite though. CGI is a lot cheaper than building sets, and they're going to build the Whitebridge with CGI. So I don't know that necessarily stops it as much as it's building the physical sets to be in the towns that are the issue. So. For instance, when they were going to spend a lot of time in Emond's Field, so they literally built Emond's Field.
Right.
I don't think they're obviously not going to build a Caemlyn or Whitebridge, but I do think that we may see those towns with images and then just have the Whitebridge. Matt, I have some really important breaking news. This one isn't on Instagram, but this one got sent to me directly. I just thought I would show this again for everybody that didn't see earlier. This is the tweet here. There's major news. Matt Hatch has been confirmed.
Yeah, I've heard. Matt Hatch is a really nice guy. He's a nice guy. So he deserves to be cast as Man-Fear. Let's be honest.
So anyway, I just thought I would let everybody know that has been confirmed. That's another thing that came from today.
Thank you. That was a tweet. I really appreciate that you took the time to
I wrote it out. I just figured it would be easier than retweeting it.
Why have Taylor put it up on the screen when you can put it on that board? Yeah. That's
well, amazing. Make sure you take a screen cap of that and then.
Yeah, I need to get that from you. By the way, has anyone that's watching has anyone been able to sharpen that image to tell us who's on that script? Somebody has to have had the tools and capability to get rid of that blur and tell us who's in the script here. I think that's going to be like part of the next 2 days before those who are celebrate Christmas and are really curious about that. I'm sure we'll see lots of theories come in about that. If you are just joining us now, we're talking all about the current news that was released by the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. Please like the video. If this is the first time you've ever seen this, we do this weekly, and it's a lot of fun. We do a live show. We actually have a live show tonight. It's Holiday at the Inn. I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about this at the beginning, and then we're just going to have some fun. I'm going to be Santa Claus, and I'm going to give away some stuff because it's Christmas time, and I enjoy Christmas. So, and yeah, we will be premiering a little new tweak on our intro song that we do. We played with it a little bit more, and it should be we think you'll enjoy that. But yeah, come back, make sure you're back with us tonight. And by the way, I wanted to mention while you're both here, this is Thom from Talk Aron Riyadh podcast. I don't have his name up in the description yet. I will after this. Make sure you follow Talk Aron Riyadh podcast or the Showcast. They love talking all about the show. That's what they do every week on their podcast. And you all know who Nae'blis is. I don't have to really introduce him, but this is Nae'blis up above on the screen here, and he runs his own YouTube channel. He's been doing this for a long time, and also happens to have started a new YouTube channel because, when you already have a popular channel, you should start over. That's what I say. So congratulations on starting over, Nae'blis. I'm sure it's a lot of fun to revisit those days of 60 views and 10 subscribers. You want to tell everybody a little bit before we jump back into this? Tell everybody what it is you're trying to do with this new channel.
So yeah, I'm a big movie fan. I like movies and TV shows. I love talking about the Wheel of Time, but my other passion is talking about movies. And so I just felt like, hey, why don't I do another channel about that? I didn't want to do that on my main channel. And so I've made a new one called Nae'blis Reviews. It's very creative. Where I'm reviewing stuff. So I have my first review up. I have another one that'll be coming out here very shortly. I'm going to probably do one or two of them a week because they're pretty easy and fun to do. So yeah, if you want to check that out, you can search Nae'blis Reviews. I'll tweet it out again. And you want to subscribe to that channel, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, go check it out. Go support a new content creator in movie review space. I wish you the best of luck doing that. And if you're actually the first time you just jumped into this live stream, we're talking all about the news that happened. And Taylor, I'm going to have you play that one more time because I want us to focus in and stare after he plays this, stare at that script and see if we can't figure out what's happening here because it's too blurred and it's annoying me. Like, come on, don't blur it all out. Yeah, but Taylor will throw the Wheel of Time. Here's a clip right now. I'll be quiet and you can kind of listen in.
Donation for the Gleeman.
Yeah, good stuff. Donation for the Gleeman. He's taking donations here. That guitar does not look fancy, that's for sure. We know he's drunk, and if this happens to be Four Kings, and his cloak is inverted in some way, it sounds like he's, I wonder how much more grittier, how much on the run, will he actually have been, have the same backstory even that we're aware of before? I'd be surprised if they changed that much, but I want to throw the screen up there, Taylor, just the very beginning of it, pause it, and I want to stare at this again and see if we know anything else, and if anyone else has figured out anything else about what we see here. So, but there are two individuals speaking. Only something, the Gleeman, it suggests to say on that bottom one, what is that? Something quiet down. And he's supposed to do one more song, it sounds like. It'd be really nice to know who those people are talking. You, Thom, you suggested you think that the top one, I don't know how you're divining this because all I see is a blur, but you think that might be, did you say Rand?
Yeah, I'm not. I swear I'm not. The second name, the name that's actually closer to the visible script, is harder for me to read. But that top one looks like an R, an A, and a D.
Does anyone else in chat see what Thom is seeing here? I almost think if getting further away from it is more helpful. I can't see I can see that what you're saying about the R here and the D. So I guess it does look like a 4-letter name. Yes. So I guess if we went for 4-letter names in the Wheel of Time.
The second paragraph starts with only.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Only. Oh man, I can't see.
And then it's a name. That third one is a name.
It's capitalized. Yeah.
So maybe it's not. Maybe it's not Gleeman. Then in my head, that's what I thought was Gleeman. By the way, Geeky Area is like, I see blurs. That's all I see. And Kevin's like, I figured it out. The bottom words end. Yes, the scene is definitely ending here.
It's supposed to be one more song, so we got that.
Yep. Maybe that second. He's supposed to do one more song. Yeah. Something quiet down. He's supposed to do
something.
I think it's only other something.
Only other. Is that
the Gleeman?
Yeah, the Gleeman. Something quiet down, or that doesn't seem like please.
This
quiet
is ridiculous.
Down. How much Peach Boy said this gives me a headache. Yeah, we got to figure this one out. Man, it's a little bit too blurred, and you can tell definitely. Wanted us to suffer here trying to figure this one out. They give us a little bit that's supposed to. You can put that down, Taylor. I don't think I'll have to take closer examination with a graphics program. A little Photoshop after this is going to definitely happen. But yeah, Steven does agree with you. He said first blur looks like Rand. Both names look to be in that kind of 3 to 5 letter range. It's hard to tell. They're not long names, so it's definitely not Moiraine. You know what I mean? I don't know if any of those look like. We could try to pick our characters who might be speaking. Best quiet down, Mark says. That's probably right. The Gleeman, best quiet down. He's supposed to do one more song. I think we have those 2 lines. That's a great pickup there, Mark. Thanks for mentioning that. If you want, you have another. We'll probably stay live here for another 10 minutes or so. If you want to give us a call, if you think that you can read this blur and you can see what it means, then please do call in. We'd love to hear what you're saying or have to say. And if you have a question for any of my panelists here before we end for the afternoon, and like I said, we'll be back this evening at the inn doing another live show because that's what we do. It's What Wednesday, and I love this stuff, right? I'm so glad I had vacation time today. This is so fantastic. Geeky Area just said, Matt, if you do this live when the show airs, it'll take us a whole week to get through the first episode. Yes, I imagine the first post after show live thing. My hope is to bring in 10 to 20 content creators over a period of 8 hours and just continue to break that first episode down and down and down,
I'm not sure I can commit to 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we'll swap out content creators and fans as they come in and be like, okay, Nae'blis, you're done for the evening. Great.
You're fired. Get out.
By the way, you should see Taylor's reaction on the other side of that when I said 8 hours. He was like, you didn't talk to me about this.
He'll be coming in with the Gatorades and stuff just to tally you down.
Exactly. Any other thoughts from Rafe's questions there? Anything that we haven't covered that we missed as part of this? I mean, we're focusing on obviously the guitar itself, and we're obviously focusing on the fact that there's a script and 2 people are talking. Maybe Rand is asking some kind of question and is being told to quiet down because Thom's about to get up. People have suggested, right, that this is maybe 4 kings, and maybe Rafe has suggested we don't get Merrilin at this point because they've really had to be choosy about where they stop. I think, and then we're gonna get a grittier, a little bit younger Thom here. Anything else between the 2 of you that you saw from Rafe's answers that really you want to highlight or something you hadn't considered until now?
I think I need some time to kind of process and read through some of this stuff. But
I agree.
Here's my overarching thoughts. I know a lot of people may be moderately upset when they start talking. Everybody knows there's changes coming, but I think it's not real until we know that they're there. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, a real change? Right? And I am over-arguing. I'm more excited because I have clarity on the way that they're approaching making those changes. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I feel better about it knowing why they chose the things they did. And that gives me a little bit more comfort knowing that they probably are not changing things just to change them. It's not we're making this change only because we want to change something and make it ours, right? They're doing it because they have to make it a cohesive story that we'll like. And there's a part of me that's super excited now because I may not know everything that's going to happen in every scene.
Yep.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's something exciting about the fact that it's changed, and knowing that there's people behind the scenes, knowing why the changes are going in and how they're being implemented. And then, like you said, the excitement of what is actually going to happen. We don't know if they cut Whitebridge. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen to Thom, which is exciting because as readers, we knew exactly what was going to happen to Thom. So I do love that aspect. There's one caller. Let's bring that caller in. After this caller's done, we'll take final comments from everyone, and then we'll say good afternoon for now. And like I said, we'll be back tonight with another live stream. We will be covering the same conversation. My guess is, hopefully we'll have figured some things out. I'm hoping to figure out what that says and maybe bring that to tonight's conversation. So let's bring our caller into the show. Hey, welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Who's this?
This is Peach Boy from the chat.
Oh, Peach Boy. How you doing? Thanks for being in chat today. Thanks for watching along. What are your thoughts so far of everything you've heard?
Yes, of course. Well, I think the guitar change is tremendous. And also, I was just calling in on a different topic. Did you guys see the thing that Narg the Trolloc posted today?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I did. We didn't retweet it or anything because it seems like it's a behind the scenes kind of thing. But in that sense of somebody on set seems to have actually figured that out. But yeah, what's your excitement level of after seeing that? Are you more excited now that you saw that, or less excited? What did it mean to you when you saw that scene of what looks like Moiraine?
To me, that was the first thing that made it feel real. Even though it was like far from actually being real, that it was just like actual filming seemed right.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I think Sarah and Rafe have talked about this a lot. Like, it's clearly something I'm sure from a behind the scenes perspective that after the first season we'll probably get more insight into. And yeah, I think you're right. There've been a lot of things that have been leaked out there, and this is definitely one of those where, as a fan, you see it and you're like, okay, that makes sense, and it's interesting to kind of actually get a feel for how they're accomplishing things from a production standpoint. I don't know if you saw that, Thom. What did you think about what you saw, at least?
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. It looked like, a set. Somebody on set was like, "Oh, this is cool. Let me keep it for myself, and then eventually share it out to other people or whatever." But it was interesting, and I think that I honestly think from the technical point of view, like for what I saw, it looked different than what I had seen. Like, it looks like they're trying to duplicate, a horseback race or something, like you're running on a horse, and it looked different than what I had seen, how I had seen it done in the past. So the production side of that, I'm always really excited about, and I try to straddle a line here because I feel like, the show has given us like official stuff that this is like what we want you to see, and like I know Sarah said in the past, like it really kills them when like leaks happen that are outside of things, when like people may interpret them in a way that's not correct. So I want to be kind of, especially on today when they've given us so much, like I want to be kind of respectful of that. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't from a selfish fan point of view, that was a really fun way to start the day. I'll say that it was a really cool thing to be leaked early in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So.
Any thoughts there, Nae'blis? Before I have a question or two for Peach Boy, but yeah, any thoughts?
No,
there?
I'll pass. I tend to try not to comment too much on the leaks because of the same reasons that Thom said. I want to respect the showrunners. So.
Yep, for sure. Peach Boy, question for you. From when it comes to the where this is happening with Thom and the inn itself, where did you pick? Did you pick Four Kings, or did you take part in that vote? I'm not even sure you did.
I was in on Whitebridge, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think they meet him. I think Thom notices that somehow Rand is channeling in some way in Whitebridge, and then protects him from the fade that comes along.
Interesting. But you think that happens all in one kind of moment?
Oh, man. That was my idea, but it seems like a lot for once.
It does, yeah. Unless they stop in Whitebridge for a while or something, I guess they could potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible they could meet. I mean, if we really think about this, if it's block 2, right, and there's maybe 2 episodes with Thom in it, or he's the entirety of one episode, they could meet him in one city, and he could travel with them to another before getting separated. So he could meet them potentially in Whitebridge and leave them in Four Kings, right? We still don't know that.
Yeah, or they could throw Whitebridge on the other side of Four Kings. You know what I mean? Like, they can mess with the geography if they wanted to, like, potentially, or have a Whitebridge moment, like you're saying, elsewhere, not necessarily Whitebridge itself. Yeah. Fantastic. Hey, thank you very much, Peach Boy, for being with us live. Really appreciate it. Saw your comments in chat. Really appreciate you doing that, and for being our last caller of the show. Make sure to check us back out tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll do another live stream on some of these same topics. Hey, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Merry Christmas, guys. See you later.
Merry Christmas. See ya. Bye-bye. So that is it. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this. I did see that a couple of people have joined us just, like what's going on. So as we end the show, I'll have Taylor play it one more time, and then we'll at that point, we'll smash to black. But thank you both for jumping in last minute and doing this live Wednesday thing.
Problem.
I'm hoping that Wadham Prime gives us some, a little heads up. A day or so that I can plan, to, basically be away and set up some meetings for an hour after this time frame. So, but this was a blast. Hopefully all of you enjoyed it. Like I said, be back here this evening, do another live stream. I'm going to go spend some time with my family and try to break down what that text is. I saw someone post in chat. They think that the last line says it's a big something in the third sentence of the top stanza there. It's a big something Whitebridge in Whitebridge or something. So anyways, it'll be fun to try to break that down. And we will see you tonight. Don't forget to check out Talk-A-Ron Riyadh, Nae'blis, and Nae'blis reviews online. This was a lot of fun to you both. And like I said, we will just end playing this video, and then we will smash to black. So hopefully everyone enjoyed what Wadham Prime did. Make sure you go give some love to them. Share those, retweet that stuff. It's awesome that they've engaged with fans like this. And thank you, Sarah, for jumping into chat with us. That was a blast. Like, let's be honest. Like this video as you're leaving. And and thanks to Rafe and the crew and Wadham Prime making some fun holiday memories for us. So enjoy this little teaser trailer again from The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime.
Donation for the Gleeman.
And smash to black. Smash to black.
If you want news and rumors that